Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvelcast Explosion Dynamics hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to the Phalanx and Atuma. My name is Ashley Hobley, your friendly neighborhood podcast host, and joining me today is the astonishing Dylan Blight.
Happy to be here and talking about office spaces.
Really? Office space? I guess that in Damage Control there was office space.
Nope.
Right?
I was talking about Florence Pugh's. What's her?
Her office space, yes. Okay,
office space, sorry,
Yelena.
yes. Yelena, thank you.
Spoilers. That wasn't in any trailers. But this is a spoiler cast, if you ever in the title. Today, we are talking about Spider-Man, brand new day, the first fourth entry in, I guess, the franchise, this version of the franchise. First one directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. So let's dive straight in. Well, I guess before we get started, I went to a press screening last night. Lots of people, very, very crowded. The movie kickoff time was meant to be 6:45. The movie didn't get started till like 7:15 because there were so many people filing in. I think that overbooked. There were, I think they had multiple cinemas put aside, but maybe they just didn't have the ticketing or like the badging prepared. But yeah, it filled up very quickly. Dylan, you went to the cinema tonight.
I'm pretty sure sold out from what I could tell on the app. And then they did a little
That'd be the first for a Marvel movie in a while.
I remember the last couple Marvel movies opening night, there was a sad few. There were some sad crowds for opening night Marvel movies, but it goes to show Spider-Man still has the pull, which is good to see, I guess. I mean, all in all, I don't really care what movie it is. It's good to see people in the cinema. So I'd take that positive. Yeah, but they did a little trivia thing at the start and gave out a popcorn bucket and some Maltesers or something, I think. I don't know, something like that. So, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about plot themes in any of the movie, and probably anything in the MCU so far. So if you haven't watched Spider-Man Brand New Day, come back later. This will be here. With that said, let's talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day.
What is happening to me? Did you miss me, Spidey? I'm losing my mind. I am totally out of control. I gotta fix whatever this is right now.
Final semester MIT.
Dad, who do you think is actually watching these?
Maybe someone.
Okay, well, bye, someone.
What the?
Dr. Banner, you found a way to suppress mutating DNA, right?
If you see me with this stuff, run.
So could you get rid of the bad aspects but keep the good?
How would you decide what parts of nature are good or bad?
Well, sorry about that.
You're not one of my students, are you?
Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, written by Chris McKenna and Erik Sommers, based on Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, starring Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, Jacob Batalon, John Bernthal, Tramell Tillman, Michael Mando, Mark Ruffalo, Florence Pugh, and Liza Colón-Zayas. Peter Parker devotes his life to protecting New York City as a full-time Spider-Man, but as demands of him intensify, the pressures spark a surprising physical evolution that threatens his existence, even as a strange new pattern of crimes gives rise to one of the most powerful threats he's ever faced. Dylan, I'm going to kick it off this time because I really love this movie. I think it's fantastic. It feels fresh in a way that I was not expecting. The way it feels, the word I've been put in my review is it feels very tactile. There's a tactileness to it that wasn't in the John Watts films. I think it probably starts with the suit, which is a lot more, it feels like world life. Like he's made it with actual cloth. It isn't all CGI. That he's actually putting on and pulling off a mask. And you can see that
there's a lot of mask on and off in this movie.
Yes, but also when he's wearing the mask, it feels like it is actually Tom Holland there. It's not like an undisclosed stunt double. You can like see the indentation of his head through the mask and that kind of stuff. So that just adds a level of realism to it. I think the swinging in this is really fantastic, especially when he starts to have problems with his powers, and the way that isn't as smooth and fun as it was when he was easily, able to do everything, all his web swinging and super easy and that kind of stuff. I really loved how they continued the story from last film with the memory wipe and all that kind of stuff, and dealing with his trauma. I feel like for most of Spider-Man's run, he's been the college age grown up rather than the high school student. And we're finally in that era of the character. And it's cool to see Spider-Man as kind of a sad sack sometimes, he is this, depressed, lonely guy who has the weight of the world on his shoulders, put on him by himself. He's overworked, doing it for love of the game, and seeing that type of Spider-Man was really enjoyable. I think bringing the Punisher, their dynamic is really fun. I think there's a lot of pieces, but I feel like it works to bring about the ultimate story of Peter kind of feeling like he needs to not be so closed off to the world, and it's all right to have a life bigger than Spider-Man. And then, you get into the Sadie sink of it all, and I think that is really interesting, and we'll get into it. But I enjoyed her. I think she's fantastic. She does a lot with very little, and yeah. I know there's going to be people who look at this film and go, it's too overstuffed. There's too many people. There's so many loose threads. But I think those are features rather than flaws, because I feel like this feels like the start of a new run of a comic book. Like, this is the end of the first arc, but there's still the creator has a long vision ahead. That's what it feels like, and that's what I hope it is. But yeah, I really love this movie. Dylan, what do you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I think there's a freshness that Destin Daniel Cretton brings to it that is really good after moving on for the John Watts stuff, both in terms of the way he's using the camera. No, I agree also. Like, there was that early scene where they just spend a minute following him swinging around the city, and it just felt very much like something that had been missing from other movies. Like, just that.
I also feel like they were very inspired by the video game.
I agree, and I saw an interview with Tom Holland talking about something about how the combat was inspired by the game.
Yeah, like
I'm going to go further,
like the finishing moves and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to say they went further than just being inspired by the combat in the game, and say that the swinging, the motion, all of it seems.
One of the first things in the movie is him fighting some guys on a rooftop, and he knocks them off, and he
webs them like they do in the game,
like they do in the game.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be some Insomniac inspirations here, which, why not? Games are good. Yeah, so that's really good. I think that, just the way he chooses to film it at times, like the POV stuff, the pigeon thing was very funny. Changing up in the way it just feels fresh. It feels after several directions with how Spider-Man's been filmed the last 3 movies, and then pair it with the Avengers. There is an element of just the way this one's filmed that feels different enough to feel like a fresh start for a new Spider-Man run, if that's what we're going to do, which is intriguing in and of itself, because for a while there it felt like Tom Holland was sort of done. And then there's also talks about Tom Holland and Zendaya taking a break from filming or whatever themselves collectively. So I don't know what that means, but nonetheless, I enjoy the way they choose to go about quote unquote solving the everyone's forgot him thing from the last film. I think John Bernthal, Frank Castle being in the film was such a questionable thing at the start to me, because I'm like, how do you have that character team up?
How do we go from One More Kill
to this? And weirdly, it just works, because they don't tone down. It seems like the only direction given to John was just they took out the swears from his script.
Yeah.
Even though he nearly gets one off.
Yeah.
Which for a bit, which is quite funny. But I mean, he's still just portraying the character exactly the same way that you would expect him to. Lots of yelling, shouting, just the tone and everything. And they make for an oddly good pairing.
He just misses, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or shoots people who can't bleed.
Yeah. So it sort of worked a lot better than I thought it would. I would say that I think Sadie Sink is the most interesting, obviously Jean Grey, which we can get into more. I think obviously the most intriguing character in the film with the saddest story. And I think it's a very good introduction to mutants within the MCU. And obviously we're excited to see the direction that goes in. I'll say that Tramell Tillman was sort of wasted. I don't feel like he got to do much as the proper villain, I guess, if we want to go in that direction, especially because he can do more than just play whatever we got. Like the most we got out of him was that one conversation between him and Peter, and the rest was sort of, it could have been anyone. Like that was the most we got to see him show anything. What else was I going to say? I think my negatives would be there's a little bit of cameo for the sake of cameo-ness, and I think that like the bath scene I was talking about before, like the flying in Florence Pugh feels like the site for just to connect it more. I don't know if any of that felt necessary to me. That was like, in particular, that scene just felt like fan servicey rather than necessary to have that character be in the film. This in the same regard,
but also just if you've got the pieces, why not use them? And like it makes sense, for him higher up for him to go to, I guess.
Does it? Because she's useless, really.
She's a new Avenger.
I know.
Also, it's weird that they call themselves the New Avengers.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they just be calling themselves the Avengers?
No, because that's like how they're being marketed, right? And I guess that's
yeah.
Like what's her face? Fontaine, whatever.
Yeah, she's like, these are the new Avengers.
Yeah. But
she calls themselves the New Avengers rather than just being the Avengers. I think
we're the big potato. You're small potato.
We take big potato.
We take big potato. You take small potato.
You seem like middling potatoes.
I mean, it's funny.
That was worth it. So you can't.
It's a funny bit. I think primarily just because I think at 2 hours 20 it drags a little bit, and I was trying to think where you could potentially tighten it up, and I'm like thinking, as silly as that potato line was, like
no, it was worth it.
But otherwise, I think it's probably the best of the. I mean, currently, obviously, I just got out of it, but I'm currently thinking it's probably the best of them, or at least the best since the first one.
I think, yeah.
Might be second to the first one. Right.
It's hard. I feel like a lot of people are also swayed by No Way Home, which is like a nostalgia bomb. So, I think we'll get into it, but some of the Peter changes, I think, aren't necessarily paid off. But I do think that's stuff they could explore going down the line. So, yeah. So I just put a bunch of dot points, I guess, together because the movie is just out, and there's our number one movie resource, unfortunately, has not been filled with the synopsis to the film. First point I got here: the last 3 years. Obviously, we opened the film pretty much after the events of No Home, and Peter is kind of starting up his new life fully as a full-time Spider-Man, I guess is the way to describe it. Which does raise the question: how is he making any money?
I assume he's
paying for these flowers.
I assume he's in crypto.
Possibly, Evie's AI assistant is like data mining and
I mean that's what makes sense to me.
Those bitcoins, that was a thing, right? Maybe he's getting a stipend from the Avengers. Who knows? But yeah, it's interesting because obviously nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Does he have a credit score? Like, because he can be completely wiped from existence.
I don't know how that works, right? I don't know. These are questions we.
Does he have a birth certificate? I guess. Stuff like
These
that.
These are questions I don't want the movie to spend time answering, but also wish I knew the answer to.
They just need to put the novelization out and have all those. Those nitpicks answered. Yeah, obviously him watching MJ and Ned go off to MIT, watching through social media, which is such a real thing for us, for people who have kind of grown apart from friends, seeing how they live through social media, I think a bit too real. But yes, he decides to start living that hermit life. Wants to single bedroom, single floor apartment, so he can be completely undisturbed. But has dedicated himself to becoming Spider-Man and is, as they said, taken down a bunch of crime syndicates in New York City. We have to assume that this is very much post Daredevil season 2. Like none of the Kingpin stuff I guess he was dealing with,
I don't know.
The deputy mayor gives him the key, so I mean it's after that.
It's definitely after
apparently
that, yeah.
The Hand came back at some point.
Yeah, I like how that's just thrown in. Anyway, yeah, the Hand, you took him down, and they don't have a leader anymore. Also, we know Elektra's in season 3 of Daredevil. So,
Do
what's
we?
going on there?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
You don't know that? You haven't seen all these bloody set photos all over the place?
No, I haven't been watching
Spoilers.
the photos. I mean, listen, the MCU is full of leaks because, I wanted to look up some facts before the movie came out about certain things and certain people, and it was all just there. It'd all been kind of leaked before. I'm like, who is the actress who plays Sarah? It's it's posted there. It's like, has she been in anything? Not really. Yeah. Also, I think we made a thing about it. Like Keith David was in this movie. He was cast in this movie. Do you know what he was?
Yeah, he just does the voiceover of the Spider video.
Yes.
Even though the whole time they did a pretty good job of the marketing, because everyone in the trailer kept assuming that Keith David was like the villain or some shit like that because he was doing the voiceover. Whatever. I think the part in the trailer from memory is like when he opens the tank, like the shot on Spider-Man, and Keith David's voice is like, will evolve or whatever. It's like, you're like, ooh, who's he playing? He's a fucking narrator.
Yeah. Such good. Solid misdirect. It's better than some of the other misdirects they had. But yeah, seeing them like fully committed to his own personal detriment. His body's breaking down, but he still wants to be Spider-Man. Got the phone alerts, all that kind of stuff. Interesting seeing his relationship with Gene Wolfe, who was the detective that his one police contact, I guess, he's kind of befriended, but it is still kind of keeping it arm's length. Yeah, I think it's really interesting starting point for Peter, but also like really close to versions of him in the comic that we've seen before and that kind of stuff. So, also here we get the great, amazing fantasy number 15 shot. That's like iconic. His first appearance as Spider-Man, like swinging through with the guy with the fedora or whatever. Recreating that on screen, and through this whole first section, we get like a taste of the action that we're going to get, like the realness, I guess. Next point, Punisher and Spidey. I think just from that first interaction with Punisher is driving through the city with a van, shooting missiles at this runaway tank that they're dealing with. They've got such brilliant back and forth. We get the all the stuff at Punisher's hideout that he is dedicated, like really booby trapped.
Yeah.
His booby, like how is he even getting in there?
But he just knows the way,
I guess, yeah. Just claymores everywhere, and like
I really want to know what happened on Staten Island.
I do. That them talking about Staten Island, that whole
Oh,
segment.
remember Staten Island? Here it is.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like a moment out there with, two people yelling over the top of each other. I think it's
Yes, chef.
yeah, it's fucking throwing fucking sporks. But they're so opposing in views of the world. I think like Spider-Man is such an optimistic character, and Punisher is such a pessimist about people. I think just them against each other and how Spidey kind of lightens up Punisher is so enjoyable to watch. And just it leads up to the end, which we'll get into later, like that him finally, getting punished to show the lighter side and that kind of stuff. But that's really great. Peter and MJ is my next point. Obviously we have the force that's going through attacking damage control, with including that whole sequence with the with the tank, breaking out Scorpion. Bungle Mando finally coming back, gets to be the Scorpion. It's fine.
I mean, he gets more to do than they bring in that brick dude. What's his name?
They brought a person in to play Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah.
Who is pretty much there to be a foil for some like momentary person. Apparently, also, well, I don't know for sure, but the Wikipedia page says Boomerang, Tarantula, and Ramrod were also featured at some point. So maybe there were a bunch of people that he took down, or like people on the wall that like he took down as gang members or whatever.
Might be something in that montage or something.
In the montage, yeah. So that's interesting. Anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, we get to see this possession person going through damage control, which is a really interesting idea of this person like jumping between people to get to the person they want. But yeah, eventually when they reveal themselves wanting to Spider-Man and threaten MJ, he finally confronts MJ, you know, after they've returned to the city. Obviously he gate crashes their home housewarming party. We get a little bit of backstory around them. They've both graduated. They both come back to New York. Zendaya's got MJ's got a boyfriend.
I'll say that the only thing that's sort of corny in all the Peter being super emo, missing his friends thing, is that when it skips ahead and it's like they're finishing their last year at school or whatever, and then Ned's filming that video. He's like, you know, done all this time, and there's no way I couldn't imagine of doing this with anyone else. Like just that line, I was like, that's so on the nose.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I think it was fun seeing them introduced. Turns out that Ned has been behind a Spidey tracky app that, like, you know, people have, you know,
so they're taking the Insomniac's crime app thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a chat room too, so all the Spidey fans can speculate. And he is trying to figure out who Spider-Man is.
Definitely on Discord at some point.
They were still saved by Spider-Man when they went to Europe and in high school and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
I just don't remember.
Remember Peter being Spider-Man. So what was Ned doing all those times in the chair in the library and stuff?
Don't know.
These are just interesting questions that probably don't need to be answered. Although I love the joke that she's narrowed it down to two people, and it's Flash and Monster. Which would be
two most
crazy.
Likely options.
These are the two most likely options. If you knew them, you'd blow your mind.
Yep.
So that's really good. So yeah. But yeah. MJ had a job interview, blew it off, or like didn't take the job. So yeah, Spider-Man comes and rescues her, takes her to the Punisher. They still have chemistry while he's trying to work on the inhibitor chip. You know, they're having this conversation about her boyfriend and, you know, how he thinks she's withholding and that kind of stuff. Before eventually...
I mean, I do think a negative with the movie at this stage in its run, in particular, is that MJ doesn't really get a lot to do in this film. In fact, I would say that MJ, the character in both some of the other versions of the films, but I mean, even think about MJ. Let's just compare everything to Insomniac and like get some more character. You know what I mean? Like she's
compared to the last two films, she is less of a active contributor to the film, like to the, you know, plot. But that makes sense because she has kind of been, I hate to say sidelined, but she is definitely got less screen time this time.
She has been sidelined, hasn't she? So,
but yeah, I think that whole sequence with her finally reading the letter that Peter has hidden, and you knew that moment was coming because Peter was holding the letter and just left it on the table like an idiot. But I think, you know, heartbreaking that she says, I know all these things, I read all these things, but I don't remember anything about you. I don't love you. Soul crushing. And then says, I'll just leave. And then she's like, I don't have a phone. Can you please bring me home?
I mean, by the end of the movie, I guess you get the implication that you can see them potentially rebuilding that relationship.
I think, yeah, we'll get into that because I think obviously there is that moment, like even on when her and Ned and Spider-Man are hanging out on the couch, like having their conversation, like just the spark between the three of them is like there.
It's like she may have forgot, but in reality,
they may have forgot, but their like gut reactions to each other like still live and last and that kind of stuff. So I thought that was all really good. I will say there is a fake out moment while they're escaping Jean Grey's possession where he lands on a roof. MJ's like, oh, let me see your face and maybe we know each other? You know, there's all these encounters that we've had in the past. I just can't remember. You know, maybe if I see your face, like I'll remember. And like it turns out to be Jean Grey. Like she remembers MJ remembers. They have this loving kiss or whatever, but then you know it's revealed that Jean is fucking with Peter. And I don't know what your audience was like, but my audience was like, oh, their visceral reaction to the fake out. Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty nasty.
It was pretty nasty, like a pretty mean thing for you to do, but you know, you can't hate them for playing the game to playing full contact. You know, so yeah, that was a really great moment. But yeah, I think they did a really good job, like kind of bringing them back into the fold and kind of like not magically wiping everything from the last film clean and that kind of stuff, you know. All right, what else have I got here? Spider-Man's going through changes. He's finally
becoming an adult.
He's hit spider puberty.
Well, no, isn't it not puberty? The videos say it's the third formation is when they enter adulthood, based on that creepy spider video he's watching.
So yes,
yes.
I feel like this is really interesting because this is kind of the first time we've kind of delved into what makes this version of Spider-Man Spider-Man, and it's established that he has a lot of arachnid DNA in his system, and it is the arachnid DNA is spiking heavily during this time. He wakes up one morning, he has completely webbed his room, he has cocooned himself in this outside of his apartment, unbeknownst to him, and has developed organic web shooters. Crazy.
He's like, Peter 2.
Peter 2 had this.
Peter 2 had these.
It'll be fine. Him testing out the organic web shooters and just spurting everything everywhere, or like, no, the first thing that happens is just slowly, disgusting, like tiny bit comes out, you know, before fire hose full of organic stuff that's coming inside it and from inside his body gets out there. I think the whole sequence of him just trying to figure out how to adjust, you know, is really fantastic. I don't know why his normal web shooters wouldn't have worked. Like on top of them, you know.
Well, I mean,
they're just incompatible.
My biggest question is less to do with the movie explanation of the web shooters and why they've chosen to switch or upgrade him or whatever you want to call it. That's my more interesting thing. Like, at what point in the discussion where they're like, you know what, we want to transition into organic shooters?
Yeah, which I feel like is something they will explore down the line. You know, because I don't think they really answered why he's going through these changes or how they got kickstarted.
I don't know if they really explained it, but I don't know if you will get more answers outside of the fact that they're just trying to flub it off as he's getting older and his emotions trigger the
evolution
of his an evolution. I guess they also want to add in a little bit of a more like it ties in, you're introducing the first mutant. Spider-Man isn't a mutant, but he has similar sort of factors. So you're doing a storyline in which his genes are evolving as well. Like it sort of thematically makes sense, I guess.
A lot of gene stuff. And really there's brought to mind that we really don't know the origins of this Spider-Man. The first time we meet him, he has been Spider-Man for like 3 or 4 months, swinging around, little kid. Before he meets Tony Stark, we never see the spider bite. We don't know where the spider came from, all these elements and that kind of thing. So
do you really want to know though?
No,
really
but
care?
I feel like that is like there's story potential there to go back and like
I'm gonna tell you what happened. He
go
got
into
bit
the
by
origins
he got
to
bit by a
then
fucking spider.
explain why his yeah, but like what company was working in? Was it the Allspawns again? Was it some other tied in bad guy or something? Who knows? Who was experimenting on those spiders? Was it fucking Alchemax from another universe? Who knows? I feel like there is story potential there, and that especially if they're going further down this road of like the evolution of him, and like obviously in the comics there's like the fucking spiritual totems and all that kind of stuff, and him growing multiple arms and all that kind of thing that you can explore with him mutating even more. So if that's something I want to do, obviously he's not dealing with these mutations greatly, so he goes to see Bruce Banner, who's a college professor, and is having what you would expect Bruce Banner to have struggle with as a college professor, just having a bunch of his students just asking him a bunch of questions instead of
and dress them, color themselves in green. Yeah.
And a student asks a question that everybody's been asking. If Thanos had all this power, why didn't he just double the resources instead of removing half the people?
And to fuck with the audience, they're like, "No, we don't have an answer."
No, we don't. I don't have an answer. Let's do a bit.
Yeah, let's just do a bit.
So it was raised, but I mean that's solid deflection. Also, just
why even bring it up?
Comes dressed as.
You just want to outrage the audience.
Yeah, I think it was just that's rage bait. Like I think that was what it was.
It's definitely rage bait.
So, also, I was like, "Oh, is that Scar from She-Hulk, like sitting in the audience in the college campus? Was that his son there? Didn't look quite the same, but no, it was just a guy dressed up in green paint who apparently just goes to all his college classes with the professor, dressed up as the Hulk.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, Peter has a bunch of genetic science questions with Bruce that very much went over my head, but he then goes and develops his inhibitor that will eventually allow him to tone down the spiderness. I will say there is that moment where he is experiencing heightened senses for the first time. I think that might be the best depiction of heightened senses that I've seen in like a film or whatever, because we've seen it several times. Obviously Superman is one that's he suddenly hears everything for the first time.
I was about to say I've seen it in Spider-Man that I'd say is just as good or whatever. Maybe Daredevil the show.
I mean, just the noise in the cinema, I feel like, as well as like the vision and that kind of stuff, I think it was really effective and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, all it leads to is eventually he just to accept that he is changing, and then he is able to control these things better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very mutant storyline at the end of the day. It's, your body goes for changes, struggling with using them, accepting the powers, accepting what you have, coming to terms with it, learning to control them. It's a very X-Men-like story.
I mean, the two next points I've got are pretty big. Let's go with this one. Damage control. Obviously, Tramell Tillman plays the head of damage control. We get introduced to him, and that's how we get on the track of Jean Grey. Him telling her, she's been trying to get VMAX. Find something called VMAX. Dylan, I don't know if you know this, but in at least Brisbane, in the event cinemas, the VMAX, like premium cinema, is called VMAX.
Yes, I did know this.
So to me, every time they're talking about VMAX, it was very funny. Only for it to end up being a very tragic situation. Also, Vector and Max, VMAX. I'm sure that's an internet chip from Stranger Things, right?
I mean, sure. It's a good MacGuffin.
It is a good MacGuffin, a misdirect. How early on did you think damage control were the bad guys?
Straight away.
Yes. As soon as Spider-Man said, "Hey, it's probably something to do with that massive vault," right? You're like, yeah.
As soon as he went, "What's VMAX?" and he said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I said, "You're the bad guy."
Yeah. So,
and then, obviously by the end of it, you now know that he wasn't lying. He didn't know what VMAX was, but still, I didn't trust him.
still didn't trust him. Yeah. I mean, also there was an element of like that's Chekhov's hand, right?
Yeah, very much.
Oh, we rehabilitated these people, and just we want to use them here. Like any minute now, they're going to turn, and Spider-Man's going to have to fight these people, and it's going to be pretty cool. I guess is Spider-Man's biggest weakness trust. He just trusts the wrong people, like every single time. Last film he trusted an element when he really shouldn't have. Film before he trusted Mysterio, really shouldn't have.
I mean, isn't that just the character in a nutshell? To a degree?
It is. I feel like, and it's probably to do with his upbringing and that kind of stuff. But yes, again, and
he's
also
he's just a
optimism that he
kid,
has. He just believes people.
Yeah, believes in the good of people for better or worse, and most of the time it does seem to be worse.
It does seem to be worse. All right, let's get to it. Jean Grey.
Number
one question: was the mystery worth it?
Yeah. Look, I don't know an actual answer to this because for me,
there's no way to know because there's no way we can live the two lives in which we went into this movie knowing it was Jean Grey and the one we experienced.
It's not just that. It's my biggest question for it is they kept it a huge mystery.
Secret. Maybe mystery is not the correct word.
They kept it a secret, and it sort of works if you are aware of who Jean Grey is. My biggest question is going to be, does this movie work, or does that reveal mean anything to people watching it and not knowing who Jean Grey is? And I'm sure it does to a degree, but is the larger implication and not understanding that large implication from the film take away something from it?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody is going to miss out on anything if they don't know who Jean Grey is, who the X-Men are, any of that kind of stuff. Because it just ends up being a telepath who has a sister who is also a telepath who gets killed and is being experimented on,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't think they needed to keep it a secret, but also I feel like our expectations of where the story was going would have been colored if we knew for certain it was Jean Grey going in.
Yeah, I have no problem with the fact they didn't reveal it because it does help the film. The film is a mystery.
It gives
for half
some
of it.
doubt as to whether Tramell Tillman is actually a good guy or not.
Yeah. So
as well as
I'm
to whether
fine with
Jean
it.
is the bad guy or not.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. And most people thought she was going in, so I wasn't too shocked when it was revealed.
I think 75% of people believed it was Jean Grey going in.
Yeah, like the rumors have been
posted something like Tom Holland said for sure it's not Jean Grey. He's a straight up liar.
Yeah, he's a straight up liar.
I don't know if you know, but it got spoiled at the red carpet premiere.
Well, she was there, so
a singer got asked about the movie, and the interviewer was like, "Oh, without spoiling anything, who was your favorite character?" He said, "Favorite character was Jean. I think you might have thought she was bad, but like she had her reasons."
No, I didn't say that, but yeah, okay. But yeah, so I mean, look, it's ever since they cut, like for a year now, Sadie Sink in the movie. Months pass. No information on the character, no information revealed. Rumors start swirling. Jean Grey. All this stuff. It's been floating around for at least 9 months at this point. Whether or not you wanted to believe them or not, I mean, I was fence sitting because it was like, yeah, maybe. So, but when it was revealed, I was like, sort of not like I was expecting it, but I've read months, nearly a year of people ruminating on it at this point.
I think maybe they didn't want to confirm it because of the just the overall implications of it being Jean Grey. Like, what does this mean for the mutants in the MCU? Or I guess, what does it mean for the X-Men? Because they can't go like the traditional route of forming their team, I guess. You know,
No, well,
just a bunch of mutants Xavier rounds up and teaches, and then they become the X-Men.
Yeah, because my thing's this. The current way it's set up, and we might learn more, and the implications of Doomsday and how that and Secret Wars all end, and whatever the hell else, may change the direction all of this heads in. But with the way it plays out in this film, it's almost like the mutant gene has only just started to open up in the MCU, and Jean Grey is one of the first people, which is fine if you want to go down that direction and give us a brand new storyline with different sort of characters at the forefront and stuff like that. However, it does take away from the comics and the movies people are used to storyline, in which your sort of OG mutant gene awakeners were from World War II and now older. You know what I mean? Like, so you lose that factor.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, how, could they do Magneto in this new version? I'm like,
well, they could, but he's just not going to be from. He's not going to be old.
I was going to say, it's like, because being obviously, being the Holocaust being such a fundamental part of that. But then I'm like, they know how to chronologically freeze people.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting.
He could just get the Winter Soldier thing for like several years, and then gets unfrozen at some point.
I don't know what they're going to do, but they've got to try and fit them into a world that
Here's
exists.
the other option on the table. Secret Wars happens, and they can just reset everything. They don't need to. They can just reset her origins. They don't need to have
but that's
this
dumb.
be the origin. I know it's dumb, but the option
I
is
would hate that. I would be so annoyed.
I would be frustrated if that was it.
She's got a really good introduction here, and if you just do it, no, I would hate that. Don't do that.
No, I would also hate it. But yes, I think Sadie Sink is fantastic in like her introduction, like the whole the origins with her sister. I think her sister isn't something that I know of a lot of from what I've read of X-Men or experienced from the shows and that kind of stuff. But I thought that was a really interesting way to like have this core relationship and kind of have this connection between her and Peter. This mutual grief, the ultimate episode, evil, the bad guy of
the MCU.
Kind of gloss over it, but one of the best sequences in the film is her possessing first Hulk and then Punisher as she's trying to get into that damage control vault. So good seeing Hulk act like a teenage girl and then Punisher act like a teenage girl. I think one moment where she gives him a thumbs up or something, I think, which is so out of character because he's being possessed.
This is like carrying stuff out. Like, bye, Spider-Man. Like,
yeah, it's just a sassy way.
Yeah,
so good. And Hulk, I don't know why Hulk would remember Peter, because it's not like they had a lot of screen time in the MCU that we've seen.
No.
You just have to believe that, I guess, they had some sort of connection at some point. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense why he would concede in that moment, but it was cool. Seeing Hulk like holding up all that debris, like standing up and then like accepting his fate, falling way to the ground. My next point on my doc, Aunt May is the goat. How good is that sequence where Jean Grey goes into Peter's memory and relives a moment that we've been kind of teased throughout the film of, I don't know, her talking to Peter about being Spider-Man, and then Jean Grey experiences it from Peter's POV, sitting there and having the conversation from an adult that she wanted for herself, because obviously we established earlier that
she lost her mum.
Her mother abandoned them effectively.
Yeah.
And having that talk, I think, was incredibly moving. And it's great that Aunt May gets to continue to live on, at least in this film. So yeah, I think so good.
I agree.
What a
One of the best,
emotional
definitely
highlights.
one of the best scenes in the film. That is a double-edged sword to me because I think both Sadie Sink and what's her face are really good in it. However, it's sort of
Mr.
sad
Tomei.
that Mr. Tomei, and then but it's sort of sad that Tom Holland doesn't get to be the best scene in the movie.
This incredible emotional moment, and Tom Holland is standing on the side watching.
Yeah. So like, it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, really good. Then, obviously, Jean Grey is having, well, a whole lot of stuff here. Jean Grey has developed telekinesis.
They don't use the word mutant Jean once in this movie.
No. Your brain is doing stuff there, but it's interesting that they're like examining her brain and like their idea is they're going to like make other brains do that same thing is what they want to do. Which is, I guess that would be the way that you would like governments might look at mutants. Like something they could replicate rather than something entirely unique to these people. But yeah, she freezes like a 5-mile block around Rikers, effectively freezing everybody, Professor X style. Although it looks much more painful, I guess, because they're just kind of, to the extent there's a wall. Punisher is coming in. He takes Spot up on a rooftop. He's like says she needs to go down. Of course, before this happens, Spider-Man fights the Hand, except he has to be completely Spider-Man. Gets a cool hero moment where he's fighting all these people, jumping around everywhere, webs everybody in a way that people haven't been webbed before. Like there's some new web stuff in this and that kind of thing. But yes, Punisher has a shot and takes it. Peter hears the bullet coming and pushes Jean out of the way and takes it himself. I'll be honest, there was a moment there where I was like, they're going to pull the trigger. Is this the moment where they decide to kill Peter Parker? And I feel
I don't believe they ever will, is why I never believe it.
I think the opposite. I think they've got another Spider-Man in the chamber. So that leaves the option to kill this Peter Parker off at any moment. Because you have another one on standby. You know what I mean? That people are actually clamoring for. So, I mean, it's definitely I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to get the Daniel Craig treatment. He is definitely die at one of these times, and I definitely thought it could have been this one, which would have been bold, but also like you said earlier, like he and Zendaya want to take time off from acting and that kind of thing. So at least in that moment, I was like, wow, are they going to kill Spider-Man? Which is cool because a lot of these like moments you like, no, they're fine. They're going to be fine. But yeah, he does recover and we get that beautiful hospital scene where, Punisher is a little bit nicer, a little bit kinder, staying by his bedside throughout his entire operation, that kind of stuff. Sees his face and says, "You look just how I thought you would. Nice kid. Do you want to help people?"
By sounds of it, he made sure they left his mask on during
most stuff.
surgery,
I guess he was the only one to see his face.
Yeah, they like took his suit off, but now everyone's seen his belly button, so it's not just Yelena. So she's lost her one up.
Here's one up. I know what your belly button looks. Oh, so good. Shout out to the moment where he calls her over the, Zoom calls her, and Ned and MJ are in the background talking to her, that kind of stuff. Great. And more Florence Pugh and stuff is, how can you say that was bad? And should have been cut. Like,
look, everyone knows I love Florence Pugh, but I'm still, I'm not unbiased.
If you say so. Yeah, we got a great moment where Peter is walking out of the hospital through the crowd of well-wishers all dressed in Spidey stuff, and he gets to see the impact Spider-Man has had on people. I mean, it was very reminiscent of the movie that came to mind when I was watching this, Superman vs. Batman. when Superman is injured. Is that one?
Where Superman dies.
Is that the one where
Or-
Superman's in the hospital and then there's all
I don't
well wishes
remember.
outside? Yeah,
Is this? I don't remember.
I think so.
For
It was definitely one
better
of
or-
those movies.
better or worse, I know it's a scene, but I can't. They're blended together in my brain at
They
this
all
stage.
blurred. Yeah, those two blurred. That and just like kind of blur together. So, yeah, because in that, like all the Superman fans are outside, like holding visual and that kind of stuff. But that similar thing, and then Punisher is able to act as decoy in his room, wearing the mask, and the shot from inside the hotel room, hospital room, as you hear him, was a delight. So that was really good. And then he reunites with goes see MJ again. I think can't remember exactly how the ends.
How it wraps up.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of just accepts that he wants to have more
He
people.
goes and talks to the gravestone and says he wants to see more people. Then it cuts from that, and he goes to a
He goes to the deli or whatever.
Goes to the deli or whatever, and he's like looking at flowers, and he sees Ned sitting there, and then he walks up to Ned and
Introduce himself.
He introduces himself, and Ned's like, "Oh, hey," he's like,
Do
"You're
the
the guy
handshake.
that was at our party the other day," and then he does the handshake, and he's looking crazy, and then he goes, "Hi, my name's Peter," and then Ned goes, "Peter," and then it cuts the credits.
No, they do the hand like the.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Handshake.
They do the handshake, and he looks at him weird, and then he goes, "My
Mm.
name's Peter." And
That's
he goes,
right. yeah.
"Oh, Peter."
So good. We also get that shot there of Zendaya with the black dahlia necklace. How'd you get the black dahlia necklace? If it's a callback to Far From Home, if people don't remember. Then we get. Did you stick around for the end credits? Do you
No,
want me to
because
tell you?
your article said it wasn't worth it, so I just Googled it.
Yeah. So if you follow the article and didn't actually see it and haven't gone to Google yet, they pull the Spidey tracker like symbol, and it's like no Spider-Man found, and then the Spider-Man found, and then the tracker pans away from Earth into distant space, and
Yeah.
apparently
And my question
Spider-Man's
is,
somewhere there.
how does the app tracking him that far out? But whatever.
Yes, exactly, because it's tracking him from sightings. Like people are actually.
Yeah, who the fuck's pinged him on the
It's
app?
not like an
in
actual, unless he's
Yeah.
updated it now that he's friends with Spider-Man and put an actual
tracker
bug
on
on him. You know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense, and also it was very frustrating. Like sat all the way through cinemas, past the freaking Sony and Pascal Pictures logo treatments, for something that it's not even people. It's an animated bit.
I really don't want to give anything. I mean, even the Fantastic Four after credits.
And then they just
wasn't
said Spider-Man
bad.
Returns. Yeah, in Fantastic
Dude.
Four, they had fucking someone playing Doom.
Yeah,
Someone in a Doom mask. Probably someone from
Whatever.
the Comic-Con crowd. So
I'm fine with it.
it's fine.
I got to
The
pee
movie
early.
was still good. Yeah. Dylan, what was the most marvelous moment of Spider-Man Brand New Day?
Him sacrificing himself, take the bullet.
Okay. I think it might be them in Damage Control with him fighting the Hulk. I think is a moment that'll stick out to me, just because all that, and then him finally kind of beating Jean, even though it was the wrong thing to do, and that kind of stuff. I guess we're from here.
We're from
What-
here. We go to Doomsday, buddy.
What next for Spider-Man?
He's going to be in Doomsday.
I don't know if he is in Doomsday.
Well, he's in Secret
I don't know if
Wars
he's
then.
confirmed in the cast.
He's in Secret
Um,
Wars then.
Yeah, I think he's pretty assuredly in Secret Wars. What do you think is next in his own solo thing?
Miles Morales.
Okay. Potentially. Maybe introduced in the next film as he is.
I mean, Tom Holland's sick of playing kid. And I think that's part of the reason he doesn't is that would leave him.
but he's
to
not
follow.
playing a kid anymore. He is playing a grown-up
He
Spider-Man.
this is the last version of the movie where he's playing on the cusp, like growing as an adult. I think if they sit between and they give it a couple years before you get to the next one, he's playing a fully proper adult Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield era proper adult Spider-Man. And then if you introduce Marvel a person to go to the next Spider-Man with, which would be good for them.
Potentially. Here's my two thoughts or predictions. One, I feel like MJ, Peter, and Ned are going to team up and create like their own. In the comics, he has like his own science lab kind of thing, I think a similar thing is going to happen in the films where they're going to team up and like invent new things and that kind of thing and use their science know-how, because I don't know what they actually studied at MIT. They never say what they're actually got into. Like what
science.
Was she, what type? Yeah, science. Like what type of job were they going to try and get?
Just science.
Just but she didn't major in biochem.
No,
swapped and all that kind of stuff. What is Ned into? But there is all super science. So I think they'll work together, and that's what they'll then be able to cover for Peter. I think it's implied that Peter is about to tell Ned that he's Spider-Man. From that, and then the other thing I would say, I think the next film has to have Black Cat, just because I think there is such incredible love triangle potential of MJ that is not sure about her feelings about Peter, and having someone else come in as a love interest or sex interest for Peter or Spider-Man, I think would be such an interesting wrench to throw into the dynamic that we've used to or have seen evolved. You know what I mean?
Yes, but my problem with that is I'd have to have it set closer to the end of this one, where I sort of want them to go for a time jump again. And if they do a time jump, by the time you get back to the movie, they're okay and they've worked for everything. Well, that's what I'd want.
No, these are slow moving relationships, She's going to stay with that boyfriend for a couple more years and then realize he's bad, All right. Any other thoughts?
Soundtrack was good.
I mean, the score was a little bit less noticeable, but at least for me, because I was so focused on what was actually happening rather than tuning in for the score. Like it didn't.
Eyes and ears, buddy.
It was never overpowering or like taking focus away, I'll say.
No.
It was always in service of the movie. So, which is what you want sometimes. You don't want it to take center stage all the time.
That is what you want. You're correct.
Would you want Destin Cretton to direct the next one?
Yeah, why not? Go for it. You did well. I just want to know what Insomniac's cooking next, because apparently they're leading the fray, and they already knew Jean Grey was going to be in this, so they put her in the Wolverine game. Like,
I mean, that's interesting because obviously in the Wolverine game, there's no X-Men.
No.
Is that the direction they're going with the X-Men in the MCU? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm happy for him to direct the next one, but if that's the case, someone needs to come in and do the Shang-Chi because that needs to get cooking as well. You can't do both.
At this stage, I don't believe that's happening.
You don't think it's happening at all?
No.
Wait till he's a massive hit and just Doomsday. And then they'll be like, we need that next movie as fast as we possibly can.
I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Let us know what you thought of the Spider-Man Brand New Day by going to explosionnetwork.com/follow and let us know on our social medias. If you want to help us out here at All New Marvelcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you want to help us out at Explosion Network with our other podcasts, like What Do You Want to Watch, where we talk about all media, and we'll probably talk about this briefly, or all our written content, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/supports. Thank you very much for listening. What is next in the MCU? Let me just double check.
Doomsday.
No.
Wonder Man.
56. Today is December 18th. The next time we'll be back is for Vision Quest, which is set to debut 14th of October. Assuming that is it is not currently confirmed the release schedule for that show, but that's when it's coming.
Wow.
So be sure to watch Vision Quest and join us next time for an all new Marvelcast.